Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about an absolutely major domino dropping in the city of San Francisco, and that is Google deciding that they're not going to renew one of their office spaces, which, by the way, is over 300,000 square feet of office space in the heart of downtown San Francisco. This is absolutely devastating. This is on a scale far beyond the closure of retailers, that major hotel chain, and all the other different problems that we've seen in the city of San Francisco, and I'm going to explain exactly why. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Raina, it's right behind me. It is at One Market Plaza. It's at the foot of Market, and it's just right around from the Ferry Building. So you can say this is beachfront property when it comes to office locations within San Francisco. But Google has told its landlord at this location that come April of next year, we don't plan to renew our lease, and we are going to shut this down.
So right off the top, I do want to say that while we can attribute a lot of the different closures across San Francisco to crime, criminality, retail theft, and diminished tourism due to crime, we don't exactly know what is behind this, but likely there is a multitude of factors in this consolidation of office space. One of the most obvious ones is that after the pandemic, a lot of people decided that they were going to remain remote workers. You also had big layoffs in the tech sector, including in Google. So they're saying right now that they're definitely going to stay in and around the San Francisco area, but they're going to reduce their presence, consolidate their office space, and they're doing so, but don't worry about it, nothing to see here, even though it's interesting that this is the first office to come up for a lease renewal, and it's coming up in April of next year, and they decided that they will not be renewing. Now, Google has over 1 million square feet of office space in the city of San Francisco, and this office in particular, I believe, represents something like 300,000 square feet of office space. So they're trying to tamp down the concerns about this, but this is quite concerning, and I'm going to explain to you why in a little bit.
This is very prominent because San Francisco is suffering a public relations problem with so many businesses leaving San Francisco entirely or shutting down many of its locations, and you can add Google to that long list. So San Francisco dealing with that.
So the local news describes this as a PR problem for the city of San Francisco. The public relations are going bad, but the fact of the matter is San Francisco has a governing problem. That is the issue. They have poor governance in their particular city, and it appears right here, again, with a confluence of factors related to Google, that their governing problem is going to overwhelm the natural advantages that the city of San Francisco has. Because I don't think a lot of people are aware of this. I know some of you do know this, but the reason why all these different tech companies are located in San Francisco has nothing to do with the weather, has nothing to do with the great governance in the state of California or in the city, and it has everything to do with the presence of deep sea cables that actually allow for faster internet actually being located in and around this area. It is an overwhelming, undeniable natural advantage that the west coast of this country has, and specifically in San Francisco, and you would have to govern your city so poorly, so undeniably badly, in order to overwhelm that, and it appears that the city of San Francisco is doing just that. However, I do want to add in on the other side, as somebody who makes videos on YouTube, who has to engage with Google, the company, that there are other factors that play into it, like increased interest rates. And let me explain. Because one of the things that I've noticed, and a lot of YouTubers notice this, I just don't complain about it all that much, is that my rates per view are down. That's because ad rates are down, and that's because a lot of advertising spending is paid for by low interest rates, cheap money. And now that interest rates are up, advertising spending is significantly pared back. And you would think, well, no big deal, Google's a tech company, but the fact of the matter is, and more people know this, Google is actually an advertising company. They get the overwhelming majority of their revenue from selling ads to people. That's how they make their money. So the fact of the matter is, this could be an indicator of bad economic outcomes for Google, their stock eventually plummeting, them having problems, potentially future layoffs on top of the ones that we already had at Google, and not just problems in the city of San Francisco. But this office location is so theoretically advantageous to Google in that it's so close to those sea cables. It seems rather insane that they're just shutting it down. They're abandoning it. They're consolidating. And again, maybe we will see when those other leases expire in those other office buildings if Google will also forego renting there.
But Google says, don't worry, San Francisco, we're not leaving entirely because they have other locations within San Francisco. But you can call this location pretty much their flagship. They're very proud of it, and they've been here since 2018, 300,000 square feet.
Now, like I said, Google is going to try to tamp down concerns of the residents of San Francisco, because if they are planning to leave but their leases are still not up for renewal in their other locations, they don't want to signal that as of right now. But this is quite concerning considering this is their new flagship office that they moved into in 2018. It's right by the water. It is their main hub. And again, even though they have over 1 million square feet of office space, this was 300,000 square feet of said office space in the heart of San Francisco's downtown. But I want to actually broaden this out a little bit to talk about the consequences for other San Franciscans, because a lot of people say, oh, well, these big tech companies, they're bad, rich people moving in, big problems. But in the short term, if you're thinking that you're going to get a relief by them reducing their office space, you have another thing coming if you're a resident of San Francisco. You see, a lot of different buildings across these cities are either owned by somebody who also owns residential buildings or are mixed-use residential and office space. And one of the things that we're starting to see in a lot of places, not just San Francisco, not just New York City, but across the country, is as retailers are closing, landlords have to make up the cost that they're losing from the unleased retail space by raising rents. So average, everyday people are going to feel the shockwave from this. Their rents are going to go up, and they're already feeling this in terms of store closures across San Francisco, and San Francisco's already the most expensive or among the most expensive places to live in the country. I think DC technically has it beat. So this is going to lead to rental increases for everyone else, because guess what? It's not like you just replace a 3,000 square foot office building with a new tenant overnight. This is going to be absolutely devastating for the owner of that building, who again likely is invested in not just commercial real estate, but also invested in rental properties and all that. And that is going to cause a shockwave through their business. And we're already seeing these hits across San Francisco. And again, it's another closure downtown, more blight incoming on the city, and it's absolutely a disaster. And this is one of the reasons why people are saying, oh, they should convert these office buildings into apartments. But the fact of the matter is, it actually might be more expensive to do these conversions, especially with all the rules and regulations in a place like San Francisco, in a state like California, than it would be to tear down the building and build up new apartments. So it's a disaster in every way. It's going to have shockwaves across the industry. And if we start to see other tech companies refusing to renew their leases or consolidating, wink, wink, into smaller office buildings, then you could expect this to be the canary in the coal mine, and for us to see tech leave San Francisco, Silicon Valley, go bye-bye.
Take a look at your screen. We reached out to Google, and they responded to us early this morning. This is what they told us. They say, we've said before, we're focused on investing in real estate efficiently to meet the current and future needs of our hybrid workforce. We remain committed to our long-term presence in San Francisco.
Now, again, they have the spokesperson saying that we're committed to our long-term existence in San Francisco. Don't worry about it. We have a hybrid workforce. All these different other various things that do make sense, could possibly be true. I don't want to overstate it, because as bad as the governing forces are in the city of San Francisco, you have to understand that the tech employees are insanely left-wing in that particular area, so they might support it. Also, they've been allowed to incorporate their own little areas to have their own police, so they could have policing. And again, the deep sea cables are a huge advantage. But if they were planning on moving, this is also exactly what they would say.
So the key words there, Raina, hybrid workforce. They're not saying anything about layoffs, because that's not happening. They're not suffering economically, but we live in a new world now where they're dealing with some employees coming to work, some employees working from home, and this is just one more thing that they have to wrestle with. Do we keep office space open, or do we tell a lot of our employees just to work from home.
So right there, this guy says out of nowhere that the keyword is the hybrid workforce. And again, this has impact. Obviously, things change post-pandemic. A lot of tech people don't live in San Francisco because why would you live there if you don't have to, if you could work remotely? But the fact of the matter is, the idea that Google isn't having any problems financially when they're an advertising company, and I can see, again, working under a Google subsidiary because I have a YouTube channel, how that's impacted the industry is crazy in every way. Google and Facebook do ad services for almost everything on the internet.com. And while a lot of people have been pointing and laughing at these left-wing media companies getting woke and going broke, the fact of the matter is ad rates have been cut in half across the board. And believe me, I've faced challenges because of that, but I have a limited cost operation, so I'm able to endure through that. On top of that, I can always produce more work for you. That's why I actually moved into a new place where I have my own dedicated studio so that I could put out better, higher quality content more frequently on this channel. So that way I can endure these consequences. But the fact of the matter is, the old days of having everybody rake it in through advertising money while simultaneously being able to attract venture capital are gone. They're over. And guess what? Google has to be feeling that because everyone's feeling it throughout the chain. So for him to just assert that there's no problems and no incoming layoffs, that is all speculation. And based on what's actually going on in this space, I find it to be wildly inaccurate. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. We know that Google says they want to do more efficient real estate purchases, but to me, this just might be the first step. This is why I called it a domino among many other dominoes to fall. So we'll have to look at Meta and all these different companies and whether or not they're also going to reduce their presence in the area.
But nonetheless, this is another hit for the city of San Francisco because come next April, unless they find another prominent tenant, one more vacant location.
Now, just as this local news reporter said, regardless of whether or not Google is leaving or not, obviously that's more disasters for the city of San Francisco. This is a disaster for San Fran. The fact is, this is a huge office space. There aren't a lot of tenants that are even capable of filling said office space. It was essentially designed for Google, and them abandoning it means that it will likely not be replaced. So beautiful beachfront, waterfront property in the heart of Silicon Valley, in the heart of downtown San Francisco, is completely going to be vacant, just like a bunch of other things in this particular area. And that blight and all the problems associated with San Francisco are going to creep in because there's no real way to maintain this without a tenant. And like I said, very unlikely that you'll actually find a tenant here. Now look, I'm going to leave this up to you guys out there in the audience, and I want to know what you guys think. Is this just related to a hybrid workforce, decrease in advertising spending, and Google not wanting to pay for this rather large office space that is probably not going to be filled? Or is this part of the trend of closures due to bad governance in the city of San Francisco? And is this the beginning of the end of Silicon Valley? All your thoughts down in the comments below. As usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about San Francisco losing Google. Till next time.